So now I'd like to welcome Paul Blankley from Zenlytic. Welcome, Paul.
Well, thanks for having me. Excited to chat today.
Awesome. I'll turn things over to you.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I'm Paul. I'm one of the founders and the CTO of Zenlytic. Zenlytic is an AI data analyst. And what sits under Zenlytic is our clarity engine. We think you need two things to be successful as an AI data analyst. You need the depth of SQL where you can answer questions that matter. You can't just answer simple questions that already show up on dashboards. You're able to extend beyond existing concepts and answer questions that really matter. What would happen if I changed this? What would happen if I moved this in this way? The what if questions, the why questions, and the questions that really drive the important decisions in your business. But at the same time, you need the trust of a semantic layer. You need to be able to answer those deep questions that aren't restricted by just what exists in the semantic layer. But at the same time, for business users to be able to actually self-serve on the system, they need to be able to trust it. And you need to be able to give that depth while retaining the trust of the semantic layer under the hood. And that's what our clarity engine does. And that's why I'm excited to share it with you today. So we're going to go through two examples and walk through what that looks like, how Zoe, our AI analyst, answers those questions, and why you can get the depth you need and trust that you need out of our clarity engine. So I'll hop in here. So I can ask Zoe a question just using my voice. I can say, hey Zoe, can you show me year to date the gross revenue, the number of orders, and the profit margin percentage for all of my different product titles? And Zoe will take my audio, she'll turn that into text, and she'll start answering this question. So first what she'll do is she'll look across the different definitions that exist inside of my semantic model, if any. So what she's doing here is she's able to say, okay, I'm not going to recreate a new definition of gross revenue. I'm going to reference an existing one, if there is one. And if not, I can extend these definitions to make sure that you know what you're looking at. So Zoe will search across all your existing context to make sure that she knows the right way to calculate these things to answer your question. Once she has that context, that metadata, she'll go in and she'll structure a query that references those and shows you the answers that you're looking for. So she'll structure this query here. And then she'll go and run that query. And when she runs that query, you'll see that it doesn't just come back with a big SQL statement. It comes back and shows me exactly what I'm looking at in ways that I can understand as a business person. So I can come in here and see, hey, this total gross revenue, this is verified. It's used almost 70,000 times across my different environment. It's calculated with product sales plus shipping, and this is a verified metric. I can trust that this is how I should be thinking about these things. And likewise with number of orders or with gross profit. All of these are numbers that are verified. They have this green check mark here. You know, as a business person clicking on these, that these are metrics that I can trust. But to answer my question, Zoe's had to extend beyond these basic definitions that I already had. And she extended beyond to answer this question about profit margin percentage. So here I can see how she's calculated this. And I can see that this is not a verified field. This is something that she's taken those base definitions and extended it to make this new calculation. I can ask Zoe, hey, how did you do this? Generate a description for me. Explain how you did this. What's going on? And she'll go through, she'll look at the SQL that she wrote, and she'll say, okay, this is how I've done this. This is gross profit as a percentage of net sales, revenue after discounts, revenue less discounts, less COGS, divided by revenue less discounts. And this gives me a really clear explanation of exactly what I'm looking at and how Zoe's extended my existing context to be able to answer the question that I need. The other thing that this lets you do is this lets Zoe help you build the semantic model as you go. Instead of having to have everything predefined or put all of your information into some system or do this big build out before you can start getting value and answering questions, all you have to do is connect tables and start asking questions. As Zoe answers those, you'll see this promote to verified option. If I click this, this will push this into the data model, and Zoe will then know that this is the definition for profit margin percentage going forward, and this will get that green check mark. And that's available to just the admins and developers. So this is a good example of how Zoe answers those basic questions and and how she distinguishes between verified context that's 100% trustworthy and new context that she's extended to answer your question. The other thing, though, is that Zoe needs depth. Zoe can't just answer basic questions that you can pull on a dashboard or select extensions of those. She has to be able to answer the questions that really matter. And she can do that in this way. So I can ask Zoe a big question, same kind of question I would ask someone on my data team, and she can go and answer it for me. Hey Zoe, can you tell me what would happen if I took 80% of my ad spend and allocated it from my channel that's performing the worst in return on ad spend to my channel that's performing the best? How would that affect my overall cost of acquisition? So here I'm asking Zoe not just to go and pull some data for me that could be maybe a tile on a dashboard. I'm asking Zoe to go pull this data and genuinely help me make sense of it. And Zoe's going to first give me a plan explaining how she's going to go and tackle this problem. And then she'll move on to pulling the data and tackling that problem. So here she'll parameterize the query and pull the data that she needs to get that answer. Once she's pulled that data, I can see exactly where she's getting it from and that these metrics are verified or not. So here I can say, okay, let's view this as a table. I've got my different return on ad spend, my cost of acquisition, and my marketing spend here. So I can see exactly what Zoe's pulled. And then Zoe has access to more advanced tools. Here she's able to take this governed result that I've gotten using all my verified definitions, so I'm very confident that this is right, and she's able to actually run that scenario analysis for me on the fly. So here I can say, okay, if I reallocated 80% of this ad spend from Facebook or from TikTok, my worst performing in terms of ROAS, to Facebook, my best, I can see what my new CAC is and how that's changing and what that means in terms of my changing CAC costs. I would see a reduction of CAC of $38 here. So what this does is this lets Zoe help you go beyond just questions you could answer with dashboards to really answer questions that have the depth you need to answer the questions that matter for your business. Business users don't come to an AI analyst to just pull the same information they saw on dashboards faster. They come to an AI analyst to answer the questions with depth, but they need to know that they can trust these answers. And this is what our Clarity Engine gives you. You can see exactly where Zoe's pulled this information, that all this information is verified, so I can trust what she's done. As Zoe gives me summaries of how she's done this analysis, I can easily look back at this and say, okay, yep, TikTok is in fact the lowest return on ad spend. Facebook is the highest. So like all of this is correct. This is following from the data that I know. And that's how Zenlytic works. Our Clarity Engine gives you the trust of a semantic layer, but the depth of SQL so you can answer the questions that really matter. And I'll be answering any questions in the comments if anyone has any there.
Excellent. Thanks, Paul. Excellent demo. And you do have, well, looks like you got a question there. I think somebody's requesting your email address, so I'll let you handle that offline. But excellent demo. And if you guys liked what you saw, please make sure you book a follow-up call with Zenlytic at the call to action below.